Welcome back to the channel, and thank you for joining us here again on Trending Now USA. I'm Bella, and today's developing story is leaving millions of tennis fans speechless. The reaction online has been explosive, emotional, and full of disbelief, because what just happened to Aryna Sabalenka is something nobody saw coming. For many fans, this moment wasn't just unexpected, it was heartbreaking. And now, around the world, people are reacting, questioning, and trying to understand how everything escalated so quickly. Today we're breaking it down in full detail, the reactions, the emotions, and the moment Aryna Sabalenka broke down in tears that has stunned the tennis world. In an arena filled with thousands of people and millions more watching across screens, Aryna Sabalenka stepped into what should have been another battle on court, the type of match she's built her career dominating. Sabalenka has become known for power, confidence, and composure under pressure. She's the fighter, the champion, the name crowds cheer for whether she's on the winning side or fighting tooth and nail for every point. But this time, something was different, and everyone watching could sense it. From the first serve, the atmosphere felt strangely heavy. Sabalenka wasn't moving with her usual explosive energy. Her footwork looked careful rather than confident, and her reactions seemed a split second slower. Fans online immediately started asking, was she injured? Was something wrong? Even the commentators could only guess. Still, despite whatever she was dealing with, Sabalenka fought, point after point, refusing to give in. But as the match unfolded, the struggle became impossible to ignore. Cameras zoomed in more than once, catching her biting her lip, blinking rapidly, and trying to hold her emotions back. And then it happened. In one moment, after a crucial rally slipped away, Sabalenka paused. She stepped back from the baseline. She tried breathing deeply, shaking her arms out, attempting to refocus, but it didn't work. Her shoulders tightened. Her jaw clenched. She lifted her hand toward her face, and suddenly, tears. She wiped them quickly, hoping nobody would notice. But the cameras did. The audience did. The internet did. And within seconds, the clip spread everywhere. Fans couldn't believe what they were seeing. Sabalenka, the powerhouse, the emotional warrior, was breaking down in front of the world. Not because of the score, not because of pressure alone, but because something deeper was happening. Something personal, something overwhelming. People in the stands went silent. Others stood and applauded, trying to encourage her. Commentators struggled to find words. On social media, hashtags exploded, opinions poured in, and support flooded across every platform. Thousands of fans began posting messages like, "Stay strong, Aryna. You don't deserve this. We're with you no matter what." Others admitted openly that seeing her cry made them emotional too, because champions aren't supposed to be invincible. Yet there she was, reminding the world that even the strongest athletes are human. As the match continued, Sabalenka tried again and again to push through whatever was weighing on her. Every point she won felt like a small victory. Every point she lost felt heavier. And even though she fought until the very last second, when the final point was played and the match was over, the reaction that followed became the real headline. Sabalenka walked toward her bench and sat down. She buried her face in a towel. Her shoulders shook. The tears weren't just frustration. They were heartbreak, exhaustion, disappointment, and something even more emotional than the sport itself. And then came the moment that fans are still talking about. She stood up to walk toward the net for the traditional handshake. Cameras followed closely. Her opponent offered a sincere, gentle gesture, understanding the emotional weight of the moment. But Sabalenka struggled to lift her head. Her eyes were red. Her hands trembled. The handshake was brief, but meaningful. And instead of walking directly off court, she paused for a moment and looked up at the crowd. The stadium erupted. People applauded, shouted support, and stood to acknowledge everything she had given, not just in this match, but in her career. And that applause made her cry even harder. Some fans in the stands also cried. Others filmed. Others shouted her name. And in that moment, the tennis court transformed into something bigger than sport. It became a stage of raw human vulnerability shared with millions. After leaving the court, the world waited for answers. What happened? Why did she break down? Was she injured? Was something affecting her off the court? Was she dealing with exhaustion, pressure, or something more personal? Speculation began instantly. Some reports suggested physical issues. Others pointed toward emotional stress or private matters behind the scenes. Others believed the weight of expectations, pressure from fans, endless media scrutiny, and constant comparison to other top players finally became too much. Because championships don't just demand talent, they demand resilience. They demand sacrifice. They demand that athletes leave behind private pain, pressure, personal struggles, and still perform at the highest level. And sometimes, even the strongest can't hide the emotional toll. As the online debate continued, one thing became clear. The world wasn't judging her. They were supporting her. Comment sections filled with messages like, "She doesn't need to prove anything. She's already a champion. She has given so much to the sport. Let her breathe." And despite the emotional intensity, one theme became universal: respect. What shocked fans wasn't just the tears, it was the humanity behind them. Because in the world of elite sports, the public often forgets something important. Athletes are not machines. They get tired. They feel pressure. They get overwhelmed. They break. And this moment, this unexpected display of vulnerability, reminded everyone watching that mental resilience is just as important as physical strength. In the hours following the match, footage of Sabalenka backstage surfaced. She wasn't angry. She wasn't yelling. She wasn't frustrated with others. She was simply overwhelmed, quietly wiping tears, breathing slowly, and trying to regain composure. Her team comforted her. Someone placed a hand on her shoulder. Another gave her water. And someone gently whispered to her. The moment wasn't failure. It was proof she cared deeply. And that's what fans responded to. Not defeat. Emotion. Passion. Heart. Because if there's one thing that defines Aryna Sabalenka, it's that she never plays halfway. She gives everything. Every serve, every swing, every step, she commits fully. And when you give everything, losing doesn't feel like just a match ending. It feels personal. Over the next several days, commentators and former professional players weighed in. Some said the pressure of modern sports is reaching new extremes. Others argued Sabalenka is experiencing the emotional burnout so many elite athletes face. Some pointed out that constantly being under the spotlight, both on court and online, can take a massive mental toll. Yet through all the speculation, the one constant message echoed worldwide: support. Because even those who weren't her biggest fans admitted, seeing her break down like that changed something. It reminded the world that strength isn't never crying. Strength is caring so deeply that the emotion becomes too much to hold inside. As images and video clips continued spreading, fans created edits, tributes, and messages celebrating her rather than criticizing her. Tens of thousands of supporters shared their own emotional stories, saying moments like this inspire them, because vulnerability doesn't weaken champions. It reveals what makes them extraordinary. In the days that followed, Sabalenka disappeared from public view for a short time, choosing privacy over the non-stop questions and cameras. But eventually, statements began circulating, not dramatic, not defensive, just honest reflection. In small comments shared through interviews or social platforms, she acknowledged how heavy the moment had felt, how exhausted she was, how sometimes the pressure catches up with even the strongest athletes. And yet, she also shared something else. She wasn't giving up. Her message, though simple, sent chills through fans worldwide. She would rest, recover, refocus, and return stronger. That statement turned the story from heartbreak into motivation. The same fans who watched her cry are now waiting, not out of curiosity, but out of loyalty. Because now, the next time she steps on court, it won't just be another match. It will be a moment millions are waiting for, a comeback built not just on power, but on resilience. Some are already calling this emotional moment a turning point in her career. Not a breakdown, but a breakthrough. A moment where pressure became transformation, where pain became fuel, and where the world saw not just a player, but a person. And sometimes that is what creates legends. Not perfection, not effortless victories, but the moments where everything becomes overwhelming, yet the athlete refuses to disappear. That's what fans will remember. Not the tears, the courage behind them. Because crying in front of millions is not weakness, it is honesty. And honesty takes strength. So, as Sabalenka continues her journey forward, the sports world watches, not with judgment, but with anticipation. Because this chapter is not the end. It is the moment that will make her next victory, whenever it comes, unforgettable. Thank you for watching Trending Now USA. I'm Bella, and I'll continue to follow this developing story as more information becomes available. Until then, stay tuned, stay updated, and as always, thank you for being here.